is Anminga from Jamaican University, and today I'm very happy to talk on the topic inclusion, equity, and healthy future in motorcycle-dependent cities. May I have a presentation?
But actually, I think, Anne, you can just give some introduction of your topic first. Like, why do you interested in motorcycle-dependent city?
Yes, it's a very important question. As I shared before, I have almost 20 years to working in the transport policy.
Yep.
And we are, from the scientist perspective, we are trying to support the policy maker and, of course, about the city government, how to evaluate the impact of the transport policy and to improve the, it's not about the people healthy, but also to provide the more equitable and more inclusive transport system. But unfortunately, it's not our recommendation listened by city government. But it's from scientists. We are trying by our best.
Yeah.
Okay, and now almost you heard about the net zero targets. Every government have about the commitment to get net zero by maybe 2050. And now we are looking back on the policy. If they want to have a net zero by 2050, with the current policy, it's impossible.
Yeah.
And we convinced that, okay, the transforming from the diesel vehicle to electric vehicle is only maybe one solution, but it's not really best solution. But in the another, if we develop like we apply the transit-oriented development principle, like Fukuda Sensei will have many experience in this field. We can have a more healthier city and less congestion, less about maybe less pollution.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's a lot of part we are doing right now in motorcycle dependent city.
Yeah.
But of course, it's the scope of study focused on Vietnam only. But we hope that through the symposium today, we learn a lot from not only technology but also about the urban concept. Okay, it's wonderful. Today, again, I would like to talk about the topic inclusion, equity, and future health in motorcycle-dependent city. So again, about the question why we chose a motorcycle. Now let's begin to look at the global context of motorcycle. It's obvious that the motorcycle is a very prevalent mode of transport, particularly in the ASEAN. You can see that Indonesia, China, Vietnam, and Thailand is the leading country for the total number of motorcycles. And with India alone, they have more than 220 million motorcycles. And when we consider about the motorcycle to population ratio by country, the picture is even clearer about the dominance of motorcycle with Taiwan, Vietnam, Indonesia, and Malaysia is leading. And in Vietnam, Vietnam have about 500 motorcycles per 1,000 inhabitants. It means that for every random 2 Vietnamese people, they own 1 motorcycle. And look at the case of Thailand, 300 motorcycles per 1,000 inhabitants. And assume that for the family composition, they have 3 members. It means that for every Thailand family, they own 1 motorcycle. Actually, I am not sure that the figure in Thailand is correct or not, but it's on a scientific article. And we, for the case of Vietnam, of course, is accurately the number. So this high prevalence of motorcycle prompts a question: why do motorcycles matter? The first, there is several critical reasons. The first is the motorcycle have a higher fatality rate compared to automobile. And one report from WHO also showed that motorcycle accounted for 30% of global traffic accident fatality. And when we look at on the Southeast Asian country, we can see that the motorcycle-related fatality is 3 times higher than automobile, highlight very serious public health in country where motorcycle is dominated in the traffic flow. And otherwise, motorcycle have an adversary impact on the public space, particularly by occupying the sidewalk. This impact is not directly impact on the pedestrian environment, but also usability of public area. And furthermore, when we're talking about the pollution, like Professor Matthew just mentioned, the motorcycle have a high air pollution and also high greenhouse gas emission. Yesterday, Professor Pagwini also talked that every day 4 to 4.2 people die by the ambient air pollution. It's a very huge number. Actually, this number is equivalent to 5% of Vietnam population. And also compared to Thailand, the population in Thailand maybe it's accounted for 7 or 8% of Thailand population. And last but not least, motorcycle have a very high noise pollution. And one study from USA showed that the noise caused by motorcycle even much higher than automobile. And with maybe the increasing speed like more than 30 miles per hour, even the noise caused by motorcycle higher than the medium truck and bus. That's a very, very impressive. So this impact is most accurately felt in what we define as a motorcycle dependency. Actually, this term is not really new. In 2006, we have one thesis, doctoral thesis, and he is my former boss from Hùng Sensei from Vietnam, and he defined what is exactly the definition of motorcycle dependency. And adopt from his definition, we have a definition of motorcycle like an urban area when reliant on motorcycle, safe mobility, access to service, and urban development. This impact is not about the number of motorcycles, it's about the fundamental role of motorcycle in shaping the urban context. And here you can see the city like Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam are prime example for this context. The figure of motor share shows that the overwhelming dominance of motorcycle across all cheap purpose, go to work, go to school, private trip, and even return home, almost people use a motorcycle. That's a motorcycle is safe about the mobility. And looking in detail on the road density, you can see it's almost road density concentrated on the city core, but the outer area is almost missing. It's a very weak development of infrastructure, and most investment focus on city core, not about the border of the city. And so the question how to design the inclusive, equitable, and healthy future in such a context. Of course, to be honest, we still do not know exactly what the policymaker is doing. But we are trying to provide some evidence. It's a quantitative evidence to support them, whether this is the way is wrong or we need to have more effort to do that. Okay, now we're talking about the inclusive transport. The inclusive transport refers to the transport system that ensure that every pupil is included in the transport system. However, it's really, really challenging in motorcycle dependency. I can show you one case study about how we design the public transport network. On the left side, you can see that, okay, the public transport network is seem to be good because it covers almost the area. But in fact, it's not reflect the same. On the right side, you can see that because of very poor connection and very lack of pedestrian infrastructure, so in fact the pupil, a lot of people cannot be accessed to public transport. Even okay on the design we consider, but it's not about a fault from the public transport planner, but also about the urban design and also the transport system design. And also, I show you another case in challenging in accessibility to essential service like the medical facility and school. And here is the distribution of population. And if we consider about only bus system, here that's a bus that's a coverage very limited. And many people here in this area, for example, they cannot be able to access the public health facility or school, even with walking distance. That's the reason why they base on the motorcycle. And moving on the how we can design about the equity transport. The aim of the design of equity transport is to ensuring people have fair distribution for the transport resource and benefit. And again, look on the same case study, and we can see that here is the figure show the equity. If the curve is close to line of equity, is a good case. But here is a very, very big gap between the line of equity and the public transport accessibility equity. And when we look on the figure, in this case study, only 80% of total population served by public transport. And facing with the very vulnerable population group like female and rural area, we can see that, okay, female that's only 60% and that's only 4% of rural area can be accessed by public transport. It's a very big inequity to provide the public transport for some city in motorcycle dependent city like in this case. And when we talk about the health impact, like from yesterday, own professor talking about the health impact. And I remember Professor Pakwindi, she said that, okay, 4.2 people die because of the air pollution. It's a very huge, very big number. And here that's talking about two other sides is about the traffic accident. The traffic accident in case study in our case study for 6 years, the almost traffic accident fatality involving motorcycle accounted for 50%. And also, if we look on how the motorcycle rider exposed to ultrafine particle, you can see that here is the motorcycle rider. They have a lot of they have a lot impact compared to car and bus, and especially in the morning peak hour where many vehicle density. But on the other side, we also consider, okay, the motorcycle rider exposed from the air pollution, but also they contribute to greenhouse gas emission. And we estimate that motorcycle alone they account for 70 to 75% of CO2 in motorcycle dependency, of course, because a lot of gasoline motorcycle. And so addressing multi-facet challenging from motorcycle requires us to exploring the pathway toward a healthier and more equitable future. But what is the right way? I can show you two case study. No, it's not case study. It's an opposite picture about the city building the transport system to fulfill the urban mobility. At the left side is Tokyo, and the second is Ho Chi Minh City. Both cities have the same area. is about 2,100 square kilometer. And the both cities have almost the same population. Like Fukuda Sensei said that if we exclude the rural area of Tokyo, the population of Tokyo may be around 10 million people. It's the same with Ho Chi Minh City. But look on the way they build up the transport system for fulfilling urban mobility. Like they built a lot of mass rapid transit, maybe 60 years ago, right? And now the daily rail ridership is 40 million. But in case of Ho Chi Minh City, until now that's only one metro line, and that's operated last year. And the total daily ridership is 300,000. It's very limited. And when we consider, okay, in the case of Tokyo, a lot of people use public transport and walk and use bicycle. But in case of Ho Chi Minh City, a lot of people use a private vehicle because the public transport is not good enough to provide to them. So that's the reason why if motorcycle do not change and do not consider about sustainable urban concept, they went facing with the challenge that, okay, the city designed for people or city designed for vehicle. And from the research, we all of us know that the two perfect city concept is 15 minutes a city and the TOD. Okay, 15 minutes a city does provide the mobility for every pupil within the 15 minutes of walking or by ride. So if we try to convert from motorcycle dependent city to active transport city, okay, it's obvious provide the more healthier, more safety, and the more less congestion. It's the same with TOD concept. And I think next presentation, Fukuda Sensei will have a very detailed on that. But from the research point of view, what we can do, we cannot say that, okay, there's a 15 minutes a city is good or the TOD is suitable. We provide some maybe evidence, data-driven evidence. That's we try to build up the digital twin platform to simulate, evaluate, and visualize the impact of policy. It's from the real system to the digital twin. Here, I can see the case study we did in one city to convince the city that, okay, if we want to have a net zero pathway in maybe by 2050, here is the baseline. Yes, exactly, Sensei. It's the Da Nang city. We got the fund from World Bank to do that. And for in the case of do nothing, it means we set up the dynamic, the reference baseline, dynamic baseline until 2030. If we do not have if we do nothing, no policy intervention, no public transport improvement, it means that the number of private vehicle increase, and you can see here is the baseline in 2014, and if we do nothing, is the more traffic congestion in the city urban. And continue, we consider, okay, if we build up the scenario about the develop of only bus network or the build up the metro network, what happened? Here is the baseline, and this is the case only the bus network expansion, and here is the case we expand both the bus network and metro system. You can see it's obvious the difference about the road, about the volume, the traffic density, right? And also if we combine the policy intervention, including the bus development, metro development, and we provide the road pricing, like Matthew Sensei also, Professor Matthew also talked about the case of Australia. And by the 2050, you can see that this is a baseline, and this in the combined policy. And that's the way we provide the evidence for policymakers. But to be honest, we don't know exactly whether they listen or not, but we try to provide that. So in conclusion, from the scientific perspective, we are doing to provide the quantitative assessment of policy impact by the promoting the digital twin platform. And what I want to say again is a motorcycle is not only the specific transport mode. Because in some city, motorcycles shape about the mobility, shape the way we build up the road infrastructure. And if the motorcycle, if we do not understand and if we do not address the challenges from the motorcycle dependency, we cannot gain to have a healthier and more equitable future for our city. So that's all for my presentation. Thank you very much for